Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of the Crop Progress Update. It's kind of hard to believe we're here in the last week of July, 1st of August. It's been an interesting crop year so far. Feels like it just continues to get more and more interesting as we figure things out, as we watch the weather play out, all of that. It feels like we're getting a notch drier here and could definitely use a shot of rain here in Northwest Ohio and Indiana. Talking to a few folks in Illinois that feel the same way, so it's kind of gone to feast or famine mode here from a wet spring going into a definitely a bit of a drier end of July here, with the forecast still looking plenty dry. So what are you seeing out there crop-wise from the agronomy side of things, Jess?
So we could definitely use some rain. At least in a lot of these parts, our corn is starting to get rolled leaves, which is causing some stress on the corn plant. And when we do encounter that stress, we want to make sure that we're helping that plant combat it as best as we can. And to do that, we recommend applying some phosphates onto the corn plant to help it overcome that stress and lead it into the reproductive system as stress-free as we possibly can. And on the soybean side of things, we're starting to see a little bit of septoria on the bottom leaves, and that works its way up. And then we don't have frog eye yet, but that is going to be a concern in the near future. It's the frog eye leaf spot. So those are a couple diseases to look out for in the crop. And in any of those scenarios, apply a fungicide as well as phosphates for those stress relief processes, as well as Overpass SF, Overpass SF Plus for the soybeans, or in your corn, Overpass CF.
So from your position, are we still too soon to be talking yields, I guess? Because one of the points that I wanted to bring up is just the supply and demand report that we're going to see August 12th, and just what adjustments we could and could not see from that. What's your opinion yield-wise right now? Are we going to be close to trend line? Are we going to be off a bit? What are you guys seeing as you walk through fields?
So far this year, it's going to be very variable, depending on the weather you've received up to this far this year and the weather that we're going to be receiving this year. We have those soybeans in the reproductive stage right now, which is the yield determining stage.
Okay.
So if we do get an abundance of stress as we go into the reproductive stage, it can really impact the yield. There's really no good way to yield estimate your soybeans. Going into pollination, again, that's a really stressful time for the corn plant. We don't have any ears coming on in a majority of the places so far, so we don't have a clear indication of what the yield's going to be.
Sure. And I think as we talk through the USDA numbers a little bit, they did lower the corn estimated yield to a 166 there in the July report. And that just brings up the debate that we're going to see here going into the August 12th report. We've been in a very range-bound market here for really the last week to 2 weeks. We've seen some bearish news come at us weather-wise, with pretty good weather conditions there over the last week or so. But we do see some dryness popping up here. So that's going to be a big part of the trade here going forward, is just monitoring this weather and also looking at what the August 12th report is going to be. And one thing I would stress to you as the grower is to get in touch with your Anderson's rep and talk through the supply and demand reports. And we can talk through the July numbers from the stocks report that we got, and just the adjustments that we could see from the overall prevent plant numbers as to what the actual planted acres were for corn and soybeans. Look at the yield, if there's adjustments that are going to be made there, and what that could do to the carryout here for the new year, which will affect the price. So just having those conversations and being prepared, I think, for that report with limit orders in place, and making sure that your overall marketing plan is where you want it for the 2019 growing season, I think is important. But also do not forget about 2020. I mean, if you're one that's frustrated with your 2019, as many folks are, in terms of production, in terms of the way the crop's coming along, we still need to make sure if we are intending and fully intending to plant a 2020 crop, that we're looking at 2020 prices as well, and just working at that a little bit, whether it's through a freedom type of a program, min-max average, or setting some floors, or just doing a straight HTA. We think that there's value in the deferred months, and just keeping those in mind and marketing against those and getting the most profits here going forward is essential, and that's what we're trying to do. So with that being said, that's all we've got here for you this week. Be sure to tune in with us next week again as we see how this market is changing and we get closer to that August 12th WASDE report from the USDA. So that's all we've got for you now. Enjoy your day.